It's that wealth in the kitchen. Giving that wisdom passed down from generation to generation. A little nugget. They say experience is the best teacher, but I say experience can be the teacher of fools, because a wise man will look to see what another man does, to see what he will choose. That wealth in the kitchen. Is our wealth in the kitchen?
Welcome to Wealth in the Kitchen podcast, brought to you by Wealth in the Kitchen Productions. I am your host, Lula Conley. Thank you for joining me. If you are returning, you already know what you're going to get. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, um, notification bell, share, and hit the like button. I think that's all of the things you're supposed to do. I just want to say thank you so much for to those who have been watching the channel, those who have been supporting the podcast and leaving messages. I read them and I appreciate them. And so I really wanted to take a moment to just shout out some of my subscribers and those that leave comments. So these are comments. I keep touching my screen on this MacBook and it's not touchscreen. That tells you I'm used to my iPad. So I go from my iPad, which is touchscreen, to my MacBook, which is not. And I'm constantly doing this and wondering why it's not moving. I'm always the first one to hit the like button and leave a comment on my whatever I post, because I figure, hey, if I'm not going to support it and speak life into it, I can't really expect other people to. So I want to give a shout out to Krista and Marquez, and her comment was, Krista here, and thank you very much for this wisdom. Peel back the layers, Lord. You know what? Let me put my glasses on. Let me stop playing. Okay, here we go. At Anita Payton, 5241, it says, why do we pretend when God sees and knows everything? And then she says, peel me, Jesus, peel me. Uh, Now here's another one. At Lexi Simone, Lord set me free, but please don't spit on me. Now she's referring to the scripture where Jesus was healing the blind man, and he spit on his eyes and asked him, "How do you see?" So that's what she's referring to. Hey, I appreciate those that are leaving comments and are hitting the like button, because you don't have to do it. So, well, I was thinking about something. So I want to tell you what I was thinking about. Respect. Respect on what? You should put some respect on the meat y'all be cooking. Now, if you don't eat meat, I ain't talking to you. But chicken, salmon, catfish, steak, I think is very disrespectful to cook your meat and don't season it. That's the least you can do. Now, these are just thoughts in my head because I have tasted some fried chicken that had no seasoning, no flavor. Now, this is my thought process on that. I just imagine a little chicken clucking around the yard. He cluck, 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 or whatever he doing. Next thing you know, he in your grease. Chicken's expensive. Salmon's expensive. Steak is definitely expensive. And I just think if you're going to cook that type of meat, you just got to respect it. Put some seasoning on it. I usually carry a little bag of seasoning in my purse sometimes. Might even bust out some hot sauce. If you know, you know. That's just something that was in my head. I was thinking about it. And I'm just like, because I'm pretty much the only one in my house that eats salmon regularly. And sometimes I ask my husband, like, hey, you want a piece of salmon? He's just like, I'm like, never mind. Because you will not disrespect the salmon. So I need to know yes or no. Because if not, I'm not cooking it. I'm going to keep it in the freezer for me. That's just something I was thinking about. If you don't know how to cook, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you the at least 3 to 4 go-to seasonings that's going to make everything taste good no matter what you put on it. Black pepper, garlic powder, seasoning salt, lemon pepper. Those are at least 4 seasonings. If you mix them, it's going to turn out pretty good on whatever you put it on. So even if you don't know how, I just gave you 4. Try it. Hey, leave a comment. Tell me what you did with it and how it turned out. That's just what was in my head yesterday or whenever it popped in there. They be disrespecting that little chicken. If you gonna cook it, cook it. Put your foot in it. Throw that seasoning on there. And if you're a person that don't really like seasoning, just salt and pepper. It'll do you. All right, that's what I had to say about that. So we gonna move on to the to the next thing. Kitchen nugget. This is what this is the that segment right there. Friendship and how it's good to have people in your life or friends that can do stuff that you can't do. And you don't have to be jealous of them. You don't have to be envious of them. You don't have to be like, well, why she got that gift or why he can do that and I can't? Because God didn't give it to you. I have a friend who's to me, she's very crafty, artsy, craft, and she's good at it. Me, not so much. I'm a writer. I can write. But I didn't know that I had a gift to do that until high school. And this is a little sidebar, so just stay with me. We had a project due where we had to write a story. Once we wrote the story, we were going to have to get up in front of the class and read it. And I did not do the project. And I said to myself, okay, I don't want to get an F, so I'm just going to go off the top of my head. I'm going to wing it. So I went to the teacher. I said, "Hey, I I I have the assignment in my head. I just didn't write it out. Can I still do it?" And so she was like, "Sure, go ahead." I stood before the class and I began to tell this story. And I finished the story. I got an A. And it wasn't the fact that I got an A that told me I was good at it. It was the fact that I freestyled it off the top of my brain. Like I hadn't thought about the story. I hadn't decided, okay, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna break it down? I literally went up there and opened my mouth. And after that I was like, I think I got something here. That's kind of my gift. Sidebar to the side. We had a house fire. Coming back into the house, we got like a partial wall in our living room. And so I said to myself, it'd be nice to put some wallpaper on the wall. I've been watching a lot of HGTV, so like peel and stick, nothing too wild. Cause I had tried the roll down thing and that was horrible. So I figured peel and stick is easy. I can probably do that. I would say a fourth of the wall took me about 2 hours. And that was only putting up 10 peel and stick. I was definitely going to finish the wall because I didn't want it to be left like that. And so I was talking with her, and she was like, well, all you have to do is just cut it right here and lay it there and put it this way. And I'm thinking, no, I think you should do it. And she was like, well, I never did it before. I said, but I think you can do it. And so we kind of set up a time during break where we'd both be off, and she came over, and I'm watching in awe because she looks at the wallpaper, and she looks at the wall, and she basically begins to just peel, lay it, peel, lay it, peel, lay it, Um, drew a line on here, cut this. The most I did was help maybe cut a few pieces. She was just in a rhythm. She was in her stride. And I had the confidence, the fact in her that she could get this done simply because that's her gift, or at least one of her gifts. So, I watched her work and I'm just like, wow. I don't even know the time frame, but I know it was less than the time that it took me to get 10 of them up there. This is the wealth in the kitchen nugget for this episode. When you have friends that are good at something, encourage them, motivate them, push them in the direction that would allow them to see, like, wow, you are really good at this. You are really gifted at this. Like, whatever it may be. Don't allow the enemy to make you be jealous or feel some type of way because you can't do it or you're not good at it. Now, no, I wasn't jealous of her, but I was glad that we were friends because she got my wall done. And and we both just standing back looking at the wall like, wow. I'm like, girl, you did your thing. And she like, but I ain't never did it before. And I'm like, it don't even matter. I mean, it may not be perfect, but it's perfect for my house because it looks good. You did it. And the Lord knew I wanted that wall done. Just be grateful for the people that God put in your life. Be grateful for the gifts that God has placed in people that's in your life. Keep the lines clear. Don't let people sow discord. Don't, be grateful and appreciative of what God has given you and who God has placed in your life, and cherish it. Shout out to Nikisha for helping me get that wall up. I ain't gonna say your last name because I don't know if you want me to say it or not. So appreciate you, girl. Now we are going to step over into the topic for the podcast today. It's a good one. Yeah, I promise you. It's a good one. Um how many of you have heard sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt? I know everybody done heard that pretty much growing up. Sticks and stones. And we probably said it when we was out running around playing with our little friends or whatever in the neighborhood or at school. And you'd be like, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt. But guess what? That's not true. Names do hurt. Words do hurt. And when people say something about you, especially if it's not true, it really hurts. I was really kind of praying and saying, Lord, what is it that I can talk about on this next episode that will really grab the attention of whoever's watching it and just make them think. I want you to walk away saying, I never thought about it like that before. Let me dive a little deeper into that and to draw you closer to Christ. You can choose to whether you allow words to affect you or not. It's almost like two sides of a coin. When something is said that hurts your feelings or something comes across a certain way, there is something in us that automatically start feeling some type of way. And once you acknowledge that, then begin to deal with it. Because you can say, no, I don't receive that. I will not accept that. That's not who I am. That's not what I'm going to be. If you don't think that you hold within your mouth, life and death, blessings and curses. I'm going to prove it to you. You know where I'm going. Let's take it to the word. Proverbs 18:21. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat the fruit. God has given us a choice, and I'm going to put the other scripture on the screen where he says, I've set before you life and death. Choose life. So everything that we do is a choice. You can choose to speak negativity, or you can choose to speak life. You can choose to speak blessings, and you can say, well, I've been speaking this and it didn't happen. Well, God's not a genie. You don't rub on his back and say, now let it be. But speak in faith. Faith cometh out by hearing of the word of God. So you need to get in the word. We have to walk this thing by faith. And I will tell you this, when I was younger, when I say younger, I mean in my 20s, I would always say, you know what, I'm going to buy a house and I'm going to have a swimming pool in the backyard and I'm going to have a big backyard. I tell you what, I spoke it before my 20s. I can just remember thinking about it, but I didn't know how to get it. I didn't know which direction to go. But then as I grew and began to work and whatnot, and then when it came time for me to start house hunting and look for a home, me and my husband, we were going around and looking at this place, this place, this place. And the house we ended up buying was a nice home, nice sized backyard, swimming pool already in it. And I honestly had forgotten that I was saying that until one day I was just kind of looking out in the backyard, and I really just believe God brought it back to my remembrance that I used to always say I was going to buy a house with a swimming pool and a big backyard. We can speak and speak and speak and speak. And at some point, it's going to happen. Now, don't just be speaking foolishness. Don't just be talking about that's my husband and he already married somebody else. Or that's my car and that's my house and it's already somebody else. Like, don't, because I'm saying that because people do that. So, speak life into you. Speak life into your family. Speak life into your children. Speak life into your business. Don't allow your words to tear down the very things that you are praying about. Don't allow your words to tear down what you have set before the Lord. Because you can go into prayer and be praying for healing and be praying and speaking life over things, and then come right out of prayer and see the situation, and then you start being negative about it. So it's like, what was the point of going into prayer if you was going to come right out and then walk by what you see and not by faith? There's another thing that the Bible tells us is that our tongue is such a small member of the body, but that thing will cause a war. Many of fights have broken out because of what somebody said. And think about it when you were growing up. How many fights have happened because somebody said she don't like you? She said she want to fight you, or he said this, or he said she said. Done caused a whole lot of fights. Look at your life. Look over your life. Do some evaluating of your circumstances. Is something happening that you spoke? Go back and just kind of do inventory. Did I speak anything that I'm going through? Did I speak it into existence? Did I speak this negativity into my life? I don't like being around negative people. When I listen to people and everything is negative, I go in a different direction. I will pray for them because I say, well, Lord, there's a reason why they're like that. Uh, there's a reason why they're going through what they're going through and everything is doom and gloom and because they've been hurt, they've been broken, and they didn't spoke so much that they didn't just open the door for that spirit of negativity. So now it's just automatically speak coming out of you. But you can speak life. You can be positive. You can speak the word of God. I have said to myself plenty of times, you going to live and not die. And I'm not necessarily talking naturally, but just things I've gone through on my journey and on my walk with Christ is where you're going through the process of dying out to the will of your flesh. And you go through things and some stuff hurt. It goes back to when I was talking about the last episode of peeling back the layers and getting to the nitty gritty and the root of things. That stuff hurt. And that's I'm gonna live and not die in this process. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for God is with me. Thy rod and thy staff that comfort me. We have to speak the word over ourselves. Speak the word over your business. Speak the word over your home. Speak the word over your neighborhood. Speak the word over your children. Speak the word over the school system. There are so many days when I've taken our children to school or my husband has taken them. We have prayed from the time we left our home to the time we dropped them off. When our older children go to work, we have prayed and speaking, God's covering and speaking life because it's necessary, especially in this day and age with so much going on and so many distractions and so much that's happening. You better be speaking life to your children. You better be speaking life and healing and blessings and abundance and shielding and protecting. Speak those things because you don't know what's being said to them when they walk out of your house. You don't know who they're around. And it's so many different personalities and spirits that walk around in school, that walk around in these businesses, that walk around in all these places. You have to pray. So don't walk around fussing and talking about this and talking about that. Hey, put the word on it. Put positivity on it. And sometimes you have to tell your children. You have to tell your brother or your sister. You have to tell your mate. You have to tell your friend. You going to live and not die. You going to be successful. You are a child of God, and he has called you. He has chosen you. He has handpicked you. You have to begin to water what God has entrusted you with because somebody watered you. Somebody prayed for you. And you may say, well, I don't remember nobody praying for me. Or I want nobody in my life. Well, guess what? There's a remnant that God has set aside just for you. I know there was people praying for me. I don't know them. I know that because there are people that I'm praying for that God has me praying for that have no idea that I'm praying for them. And it's not for me to brag about it, to tell everybody about it. If God tell me to tell that person, I'll tell them. But I don't go around saying, "Oh, I'm praying for this person and God told me to pray for them." And God, I don't do that. Because what you do in secret for the Lord, he will reward you openly. He will make a way for what needs to be done. I I enjoy praying. I enjoy interceding. It's rough at times. It is. But I enjoy praying and watching God work. There are things that God has had me pray about and speak to, and I sit back and I watch him move. I sit back and I watch it change. I sit back and I watch it shift. I sit back in awe of the power of God. Life and death is in your tongue. The power, life and death is in the power of your tongue.
It's in the power of what you're speaking. So it's a choice. It's up to you. When you get mad and you feel that thing bubbling up inside of you and it's about to come out, you better be like, mm, 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 and think before you let it out. And I guarantee you, if you take it to God, if it is necessary to be said outside of his presence, he will create the atmosphere for you to say it. You gotta walk in obedience to what he says and how he says to say it. It's a place of humility before God. When it's all said and done, what Christ did, he came to this earth, he walked on this earth, he healed the sick, opened the blinded eye, raised the dead. He did a lot, only to be accused of everything in the book, only to be falsely accused of everything, nailed to the cross. Now you talking about somebody who could have opened his mouth, who could have proven his innocence, could have said a whole lot. He said, I have legions of angels that will come and fight for me if I call them down. You're only crucifying me because I'm allowing you to do it. Because he knew the greater outcome. So it was led to the slaughter like a sheep and opened not his mouth. Can we get there? Can we get to that place where we are persecuted and we don't even open our mouth? There, I don't know if it's petty. I try not to be petty because I'm not a petty person. But sometimes I think about things and it's like somebody will do something when I in my immature days. And I didn't cuss and hoop and holler. I just told them off in a nice, nonchalant type of way. I was good at that. But I find myself taking more pleasure in the fact of I'm going to let you act the fool and I'm going to just be cool. Now, when you want to talk, we can talk. But I also find pleasure in knowing I know who I once was and I know what I could say. You think you are doing something and I'm afraid to open my mouth or I'm afraid to say something. And that's not the case. Because I don't say anything is simply the fact that Christ dwells on the inside of me. It's simply the fact that the old me has died. And I don't want to resurrect that person. Not because I'm afraid of you, but because I'm afraid of me. I'm afraid of the old Anne and what she might do. So I find pleasure in knowing that God has blessed me to crucify the old me and that I take pleasure in speaking life rather than speaking death and speaking curses. I find pleasure in glorifying God and allowing Him to be glorified in my speech, in what comes out of my mouth, because I know what it's like to speak negativity. I know what it's like to speak death. I'll give you a quick scenario and then I'm going to move on. Newly married, got a lot of mouth. Y'all know what I mean. Mouth, just running my mouth, fuss. Me and my husband, we live in this 1 bedroom apartment. Just had a baby. He's crawling around now. He had my our son had gotten sick. He started breaking out around his mouth, little bumps, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on. So we were washing his bottles, pacifiers, doing all those things. Take him to the doctor. They're like, oh well, it'll go away. It doesn't look like anything major. So, but it's not going away. So I'm like getting okay. What's going on? So we take him back to the doctor, and they give him some cream. Say, here, put this cream on him. This what it looks like. It's not anything, to panic about. Just we put the cream on him, and then, but the cream makes him break out more. And so not only is he breaking out around his mouth, now he's getting stuff on his arms, his little thighs, little here and there. So we take him back to the doctor. And so now they're running all these different tests. All the tests come out fine. Nothing's major's going on. They're like, okay, well, if this doesn't work, we're going to do another test. Well, I mean, they test him for everything. Me, I said, you know what? Let me pray. I said, because if we keep taking him to the doctors and they're not finding anything and this keeps happening, like, what's going on with him? I went in the bedroom and I began to pray. And I said, okay, Lord, well, what's going on? That night I had a dream. And in my dream, I was fussing at my husband. I was just yelling and fussing at him about something. I don't know what, but I was just busy fussing at him. And so while I was fussing at him, I could see our son crawling on the floor, and he had gotten into some bleach water. He put his hand in the bleach water and he put it up to his mouth. When I woke up, no, as I was waking up, I heard the Spirit of the Lord say, while you busy fussing at your husband about nothing, the enemy's attacking your son. Basically letting me see what was going on. And he was just like, you need to repent and humble yourself. And so I did. I repented to the Lord. I repented to my husband. And I said, you know what? I already know what's going on. I'm not going to another doctor. I'm not spending no more money testing and all this stuff. Everything that he had broke out with was completely gone. His mouth, on his arms, around his little area, everything was gone. So what am I saying? The enemy can have us so busy over here fussing and doing whatever and going off on people and talking crazy and feeling like we popping it here and popping it there and locking it over here and doing this and that, and the enemy attacking your home. The enemy attacking your situation. The enemy attacking you. And I know people say, well, don't project that on me. I ain't projecting it on you. I'm just telling you how the enemy works. Because I understand that there is a spirit realm. Just like God is real, the enemy is real. Your adversary is real. And there's two sides. You're not gonna have the good without the bad. So pay attention to your circumstances. Pay attention to your surroundings. Pay attention to what you're speaking. Pay attention to what's happening in your family, with your children, on your job, especially in your home. Pay attention to what's going on. And don't just say, oh, well, that's just life and this is happening. And that. No, get on your knees and pray. If you can't get on your knees, sit in a chair and pray and ask the Lord what's going on. Show me the open door. Show me where the enemy has come in at. There has been plenty of times where I felt the atmosphere off in our home. I got to walk in my living room floor and praising God. I said, I'm not going to stop until you show up, God. You got to tell me what's going on. And he did. He showed right up. He said, go in there and clean out that bedroom. Went in there, got to cleaning out that bedroom and looking up under stuff and in the closet and all. I found all kind of stuff. You can't let any and everything in your house. And I'm still talking about speaking. I'm still talking about the power of life and death being in your tongue. Because you got to say, everything ain't coming in my house. Everything not going to be played in my house. Everything not going to be listened to in my house, in my car, in my truck, in my business. You wonder why your business ain't flourishing? Clean the atmosphere. Clean the house out. Clean it out. If you don't know what's in there, ask the Lord. Maybe it's a book. Maybe it's a statue. I know I'm hollering. I'm sorry. I didn't got excited. I'm just I feel like I'm hollering in the mic now. Whatever it is, God will reveal it to you. You cannot just live life unaware. Life and death is in the power of your tongue. And it says those that love it, those who love it will eat the fruit of it. So if you speak in death, you going to eat the fruit of that. Whatever it may be. If you speak in life, you going to have the enjoyment and the fruit of that. Don't nobody want to eat rotten fruit. So let life begin to come out of you. And I know people have been hurt. They have been broken, bruised, damaged. I know because I was there. I always felt like I don't want to hope because if I hope and if it doesn't happen, then I'm let down. I was one that always felt like, well, if something good happened, something bad about to happen. It's right around the corner. I thought like that. I would speak like that. Yeah, that happened, but something bad about to happen now. And guess what? It would. Why? Because I spoke it. I believed it. I lived my life like that. Until one day I realized I don't have to think that something bad is going to happen just because something good happened. That's not the God I serve. God is not sitting on the throne like, okay, I'm going to bless you, now I'm going to curse you. That's not how God works. If I go and buy my daughter something really nice, and then I say, well, I bought you that, so now I'm going to slap you. I did this for you, now I'm going to take this away from you. Guess what? At some point, you're going to be like, don't buy me nothing. I don't want it, mama. Just just keep it. So God is not like that. He's not saying I'm gonna bless you, then I'm gonna curse you. No, that's not him. That's our own negative thoughts. That's our own things that we allow the enemy to speak to our mind and to speak over us and try to visit us in our dreams. And that's a whole nother thing. Because the enemy will put stuff in your dreams. So you just be mad about stuff that ain't even happened. Because it seems so real. Life and death is in the power of your tongue. Choose life. Think about it, pray about it, and absolutely be about it. God bless you.
It's that wealth in the kitchen. Ooh, giving that wisdom passed down from generation to generation. A little nugget. They say experience is the best teacher, but I say experience can be the teacher of fools, because a wise man will look to see what another man does, to see what he will choose. That wealth in the kitchen. Is our wealth in the kitchen?